How's it going, guys? Today I am going to compare what is most expensive for long-term rentals. Is it Cebu City or is it BG City? Let's go along for the ride. So I moved to BGC recently, as you guys know, and before that, I've been living in Cebu City for about 5 years. So I know Cebu City really well. And over a few trips here to Airbnb and looking at countless different places, I've come to get to know BGC fairly well when it comes to different areas, different condos that you could live in, and different prices. Now, I did a recent video on comparing Cebu City versus BGC when it came to Airbnbs. And what we found is that the prices were pretty much the same in both cities. Now, long-term leases is a whole different story. I haven't checked any of the long-term prices comparing them today. I know what my condo in Cebu City has cost me that I've had for about a year and a half over there. But let's go along for the ride. I'm going to do some search and tell you how I would approach this online. All right, let's get into it. So let's first start off with BGC, and we're going to check out what long-term rentals would cost here. Now, I'm going to skip Airbnb, and I'm going to see what other places you could see. They have Facebook groups here. Now, the thing with these Facebook groups, often you're dealing direct with the owner, so you're going to find pretty decent prices for those. However, you're going to be dealing just with the owner or just with a real estate. And so there's not a lot of accountability on those type of groups. So it's worth checking out, but I want to take a little bit of a safer route. And I want to use one of these websites. So rentpad.com.ph is one. And also Lamudi is another one. Let's just start by checking off at RentPad and see what it looks like. We have checked here that it's a long-term lease. And let's just look at some of the different prices that we might find here. For a long-term lease here, we're finding that for somewhere like Avida CityFlex Towers B, it's 39,750 pesos a month. Just check this place out, see what we think. This is something that's a 39.38 open plan studio apartment. You could tell all the stuff that it comes with. Now, what is this? I think it's a studio. It says that there's one bathroom, fully furnished. You got a washer dryer machine, which is great. Stuff from IKEA. And let's check out where is the location of this place. So Avida CityFlex Towers, BGC 7th Avenue. So super close to where I am right now, it looks like. Let's look at some of the photos here. All right, looks like a decent place. So I mentioned in other videos that Avida condos aren't always my favorites. Let's also try to look at something else. Often Avidas are a decent price. So remember, that was for a studio. Now here is something that's a 2-bedroom, but I'm going to skip some of those for now. Let's look at something like this. It's a 1-bedroom, but it's in Park McKinley. 2-bedroom. So here's something that's a great location. This is a fully furnished 1-bedroom unit at Uptown Park Suites. For rent, this is somewhere that I stayed when I first came out here, doing a visit. So this one here. So let's click on this one here. Let's look at some of the photos. Looks like some great views out there. Nice big couch. Looks like a king-size bed. Dinner table. Yeah, for me, this looks like a great spot. Now, Uptown Park Suites Tower 1 is literally in the same building as the Landers over here, so super convenient. Just across the street from a really nice Japanese mall, basically just in front of Uptown Mall, which is the main mall in Uptown BGC. You got grocery markets here, a lot of restaurants, super walkable. I love Uptown. Now, for the space, this is a 65 square meter. That's a pretty big 1-bedroom. And it looks like it's on the 17th floor. 2 bathrooms, 60,000 pesos a month. All right, so this is a one-bedroom condo, 65 square meters, 60,000 pesos a month. Need a 1-year lease on this. Fully furnished, great location. Now, when people talk about living in BGC and living in a great location and, everything that you might want, new condo, this is what you're talking about. So for a one-bedroom, 65 square meters, this is what you're looking at this place. Now, can you negotiate these things down? Of course you can, but I'm just going to compare the listed prices here. All right, let's do the same thing now and look for long-term rentals, Cebu City. And let's check out the same site. All right, so lots of options here in Cebu City. Now, I want to try to find things that are in a comparably nice space, so either in Cebu IT Park or Cebu Business Park. And I also want to look at a studio and a one bedroom. So let's first look at a studio. All right, so for a studio, let's see, this is Mandani Bay, so that's Mandaue City, not where we're looking for. Now, this is Avida Reala, but you could see that it's only 24 square meters. So this is one of the other things that you have to look at with cost is not only what's the cost for a studio, but how many square meters do you get? And I think if you look at the cost per square meter, that also is a great way to kind of gauge what you get for the price in both cities. At Avida in BGC, you got a 39 square meter place for 39,000 pesos. So it's exactly 1,000 pesos per square meter, right? This place here, you get a 24 square meter place for 22,000 a month. And this is what this place looks like. I mean, that's it. This is the whole place. It's quite small. 22 square meters. All right, this is the lobby of the place. This is what the outside looks like. And so this is the thing with Avida in Cebu IT Park. I used to live literally next door to this place at 38th Park Avenue. And Avida is a great place to go if you want something cheap. But I'm telling you guys, just the vibe there and everything else, not the best. If other people have stayed at Avida and feel the same, feel different, feel free to drop a comment below. 22,000 for 24 square meters. Again, it's pretty close to the same price per square meter, slightly cheaper in Cebu City, but you're also getting a much, much smaller place, about half the cost, and definitely not as nice of an area. I want to try to see if I could find anything that's a similar size, and let's see how we do with that. So far you could just tell all these studios in Cebu are much smaller. These are all in the 20 square meters. Now these are also all over the place. Gear, brand new designer, studio unit in IT Park for rent. Let's try to see where this is. All right, so this is at 38th Park. So this would be way more comparable of a place if you're looking at comparing Uptown Park Suites compared to 38th Park. So here in Cebu City for a nicer place, not an Avida place, you're going to pay 30,000 a month for 23 square meters. So the cost is way over 1,000 pesos per square meter if you want a really nice place in Cebu IT Park. So again, here you'd be paying 30,000 pesos in Cebu IT Park for 23 square meters. So you got to do the math. Would you want to stay in Cebu IT Park for 30,000 pesos getting 23 square meters? Or would you want to spend 9,000 pesos more and instead of being in a 23 square meter place, being in a 39 square meter place, almost double the size? So let's look inside of this place at 38th Park as well. You could just tell super, super small because it's just a 23 square meter studio. But it's a nice condo. I love my time at 38th Park in Cebu IT Park and definitely would recommend where I stayed for somebody that wanted to stay there. I was paying 55,000 pesos a month for a place that was around 50 square meters. So again, a little bit over 1,000 pesos per square meter. Stayed at that place in Cebu IT Park. It's pricey, but I love the place. Cebu, you definitely have to pay a bit more to get a nicer place. All right, so now let's look at a one-bedroom place and see how that compares. All right, so again, I want to look in Cebu IT Park or Cebu Business Park. These places are so far not there. Looking at one bedrooms, I want to look at Cebu Business Park or Cebu IT Park. Again, you can see these are places in Mandani Bay, which is a really nice area out there as well, just a little bit far away from everything for me. Marco Polo, also a great area worth considering, just outside of Cebu City, but nice fresh air up there in the mountains. All right, so here's something that is at Calix. Let's see, there's two Calixes, one at Cebu IT Park and one at Cebu Business Park. So this one, you're going to get 46.96 square meters. Let's just call that 47 square meters for 48,000 pesos a month. And so just a little bit over 1,000 pesos per square meter. This one is in Cebu Business Park, it says. The condos there are nice. It's a little bit of a walk to get to Ayala Mall from here, not too far, unless it's a hot day out. But this looks like a perfectly fine place. A little bit dated, but I think this is probably would be a decent place to stay. Not quite comparable to being in Cebu IT Park. Definitely not comparable to being in BGC, but you guys could see what the cost is there. All right, guys. So this is my quick look at a studio in BGC and also Cebu City, and also one bedroom in both cities as well. What do we come out with? People always say that BGC is wildly expensive. You guys might find the prices here expensive, but how does Cebu City compare? Is it really fair to say that BGC is so much more expensive compared to places like Cebu City? Well, let me look over my notes here. So, Avita City Flex in BGC for 39 square meters, it was 39,000 pesos a month, or exactly 1,000 pesos per square meter. If you compare that with 38th Park in Cebu City, there's only a 23 square meter place, but 30,000 pesos a month. So definitely over 1,000 pesos per square meter in Cebu City. So if you look at studios and you compare similar places, at least at what we looked at so far, it definitely is obvious that Cebu City is more expensive for a studio than BGC, and you get way smaller studios. However, if you want to keep costs down, then it might make sense for you to move to Cebu City because the studios there are smaller, which means that even if the cost per square meter is the same or more expensive compared to BGC, it's still going to be an overall lower cost because you're talking about a much smaller space. Now, comparing one bedrooms in both places, we looked at Uptown Park Suites in BGC. That was 65 square meters for 60,000 pesos a month. So that was under 1,000 pesos per month. Pretty good deal in just a great location there. And then if we looked at Cebu Business Park, we found the one bedroom at Calix. That was 47 square meters for 48,000 pesos a month. So just under 1,000 pesos per month. Not a bad deal there. Now, I got to say with the Calix place, it's not really comparable because you just have to walk a little bit to get to a mall or a grocery market or anything else like that, where Uptown Park Suites is literally in the heart of things in Uptown BGC, right across the street, literally from two malls, right next door to a Landers and so many other amenities there as well. And then I also will just throw in the place, the one bedroom where I used to live at in Cebu IT Park to give you another comparison there. That was 55,000 pesos a month for about a 50 square meter place. So also just a little bit over 1,000 pesos per square meter. So where are we at? What place is more expensive? What place is better to live? Well, when it comes to what place is better to live, that's up to you guys to figure out. I would recommend doing what I did, which is Airbnb in different places, just for maybe 5 to 7 days each. See what you think of different condos, see what you think of different areas, check out the prices. And then if you find where you really love to live and stay, then you could start looking at long-term leases as we're doing in this video. Now, of course, there's other ways to research. check out the Facebook groups, check out other sites like Lamudi, and negotiate. And it doesn't hurt to have a Filipino that's helping you out with some of the negotiation. Sometimes, if you're a foreigner, that can make the negotiation a little bit harder. But I think that once you really look hard in both Cebu City and BGC, what you're going to find is what I found. And that's that you could find similarly priced places in both cities, but you're going to get bigger places in BGC that just have a bit more amenities around them. Now, BGC also has a bigger city feel. Not everybody's going to like that. Some like the down to earth feel. Some like a city that's more of a medium-sized city like Cebu City. I lived there for 5 years. I'm grateful for my time there. But at the end of the day, guys, both places are pretty much the same price. It really just depends on where you would prefer to live. Well, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about these things. And don't forget to join the California Expat Facebook group if you haven't already. As always, guys, thank you for taking the time to watch. Take care.